welcome to the video. This is an explanation of what was in fact covering up the keyhole. Now, just to re-jog people's minds, here is a clip of it. From the looks of it at the time, I believed it to be of an eye, whereas some people thought it was in fact a spider. Some thought it was a fly, a bee of some sort because of the hole made as well. And then others thought it was just simply a plant, a weed. And then others were saying it was cobwebs. The actual reality is though, it was none of them individually. What it ultimately was a piece of small vegetation caught up in cobwebbing. And to give that motion effect of peeping up and peeping down, it was almost like a camera trick, an optical illusion, and like manipulation of depth of field and focus being affected. Because what it actually was, the reality was, let me just get this. You got this cable in. Just imagine this is cobwebbing, just blowing around. And let's say this is the vegetation which has been caught up in it. It's landed in the cobwebbing, it's stuck. So as that's like that, because the cobwebbing is that thin, because you can't see it as it goes up towards the hole. You can see it towards the bottom, like chunky, and there's all bits and stuff at the bottom caught up in it, but further up you can't see it as clear. Now the actual bit of vegetation, just imagine that's the vegetation, okay? The actual colouring of it was kind of brownish, if you want to call it that. It was basically similar colouring to the rock behind. So obviously it would blend in, camouflaging, masking, so you wouldn't see it as clear. You know, ultimately, the way the brain works, how you perceive stuff, the first thing you see, that is what you memorise, that is what you pick up on, and then it becomes much more harder to see the other thing. Like how you've seen drawings where it's got two different faces, or it's of an animal and it's of a rat and a rabbit. You either see one or the other first, and then it can take a bit of time to see the other side of the story, you know, put it like that. And while this is dangling kind of in front of the hole, or maybe just a little bit below it at least, it is out of focus because one, it blends in the vegetation to the rock behind, and the actual cobwebbing is very thin. I know this isn't quite thin, but you get my point, okay? And while that's taking place, once an alignment is connected and the camera angle is aligned with this directly past the hole, you can see it, can't you? You can see a faint black thing. Now the actual way it works, the mechanics and the motion of it, is simply down to, as Sean approaches it, obviously it's a shallow cave, it's a bit low down, so one has to kneel down, get on their knees. But in doing that, the camera comes down as well. As you come down a level, you're getting lower to the ground. And this is like a lift mechanism. And this is what forms the optical illusion of motion. So as you've got the hole there, once you align with the camera, the cobwebbing and the vegetation, which is somewhere around here, when you've got the camera looking directly at it and you come down, this kind of shoots up. And then obviously he stands back up afterwards. And because of that, that's what makes the movement of it appears and then it disappears really quick. Because as he gets down on his knees and the camera comes down and partly looks up, and once this becomes in frame and in focus, this will stand out more now because the actual colouring of the vegetation, which is brownish, is hovering now and is aligned with the hole, which is pure blackness. You get it now? This is brown, just say this is the brown leaf, whatever, and then that's a black hole. if you put a different colour in front of another, it's going to stand out. But if you had a rock and this was a leaf of the same colour, you're not going to see it. So that's how it basically works. That's how the motion works. Hole, vegetation, slightly in front, very small, not in focus, camouflage with the background. As a person comes down onto the knees and the camera comes down, this aligns and then it shows. And then when he gets back up, moves the camera up, this goes out of focus and then it becomes clear again. I'm going to try and do a demonstration right now. Okay, so put it this way. Just imagine that's the texture of the rock, and then this is the vegetation, which is just in front, dangling down. Basically, they look the same. Now, what's actually happening is, let's say this is cobwebbing. It's dangling around, brushing past the hole, but it's that thin that you can't see it. I know you can see this, obviously, but in the actual video, you can't quite make it out. But as it's dangling, what you have is, let's say, like a little bit of leaf brushing past like that. A bit bigger than that, a bit bigger obviously, but this is all I could find. Let's say it's there, and he's only focusing in on the hole behind, so now it's blurred out, that white thing I'm holding, it's focused on the hole. But as he moves in and goes down, then it focuses on that, and then as he comes down at a level, do you see now this is in the hole covering it? I've not moved it, and as he steps back up, gone, down, appears, up, gone, down, appears, up, gone. So I'm glad it worked that, because that's how I could explain it. That's the keyhole, and you've got that weird bit of vegetation, bit of leaf, whatever, and because of bending down and because it's aligned with the hole now, it covers it, and obviously when he stands back up, it disappears. It doesn't literally disappear, but it's not aligned with the hole anymore, so it's open again, basically meaning it creates that sense of movement and motion, but it never moved to begin with. It was the camera almost playing tricks on people's eyes. Now, the key thing to remember is throughout the videos I did, I specifically mentioned it looks to be of something, someone, or an object covering the hole. So most definitely there will be resistance and complaints from individuals. I think what people need to realise is that quite a few individuals were wrong, if not most. You know, people like me that thought it looked like an eye. You know, the difference between me and quite a few other humans, I don't go all in. I show uncertainty because I know it's a big claim to make. So I think before I speak, unlike other humans. Other humans thought it was a spider. Some thought it was a bee, a fly, because the hole made as well. And then others were dead certain it was a plant. Others were dead certain it was a cobweb. The thing is, I was wrong. They were wrong. Because what it actually was a little bit of vegetation. It wasn't physically a plant or a weed growing up. It was like some form of vegetation, dead, due to the colouring of it. That's like blended in with the background, in which it was upholded by cobwebbing. Cobwebbing played a central role in upholding the vegetation. The cobwebbing itself did not obstruct the view as it was quite thin, but the actual bit of vegetation was the main thing that obstructed the view. So that basically clears that up. And the summary is, this was a progression in seeing things from different perspectives over a course of time, because it doesn't happen immediately. You know, you might see things one way, but then it takes time to see it the other and understand it that way. And that's basically what has happened. This is a perfect example and demonstration process of the opposite of being egocentric, because I can see it from different perceptions, different viewpoints. But unfortunately, quite a few humans fail to do that. And that's what the issue is. So the main reason why I decided to create this video explanation is because I felt like I needed to. At the end of the day, I was one of the first and only ones to create a video specifically talking about the keyhole on YouTube. And with doing so, that sparked interest and intrigue, which led to the video partially blowing up and then creating more of a discussion than ever about it, thus creating a mystery in itself. So when I ended up finding a better explanation or better understanding with a better example behind it to explain for what it truly is, I felt like it needed to be done, because what would you rather have? An unsolved mystery in which someone has information or an understanding behind what it truly is but won't reveal it and keep it hidden, or someone that decides to come to a conclusion, reevaluate it, and basically explain it, despite being wrong in the first place? Which one would you choose? Unsolved mystery or a solved mystery? So yeah, that clears another thing up, which is the whole point in this entire mystery, clearing stuff up. Now, one thing though, the keyhole itself can still remain a mystery, because there's no full-on evidence proof, i.e. video footage of a fly or wasp chewing it at that scene. So, you know, that can remain a mystery. One thing to consider is there will be an influx in criticism, discrediting and insults. There'll be more resistance than ever now. The dislike bar will probably shoot up, but nevertheless, that does not matter. The funny thing is, to remember, is whilst all of these general public are criticising and insulting me, they're all talk, all gob, no action. Because I have not seen a single video of anybody explaining what the keyhole, what that thing truly was, covering it up. Yeah, you can mention it in the odd comment section, but why not do an actual video breakdown talking about it, whether it's the physics, the motion of it, the psychological aspects of it on the brain, the impact it has on perception and vision, the trickery of the mind, the trickery and manipulation of depth of field. People aren't doing it. So at the end of the day, it came down to me to solve it. So yeah, I think that concludes it all from the looks of it. If you want me to do a video talking about my opinion on the keyhole, what I believe it to truly be, the actual hole itself, say so in the comment section. But for now, that's me out. Hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.